Hi, good morning. This is a Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm your host, Leah Wald. We have Jimmy streaming from the streets and Tone, and we're just chilling. I don't know who's behind that. I think Rodolfo. Chilling. Rodolfo. Jimmy, how's it going? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute. I'm doing great. I am walking through the streets of San Francisco, trying to go find a place to go do some powerlifting, but we'll see if I'm successful by the end of this show.
Nice. Tone, quick comment. We're going straight into your first tweet.
I wish I can get back into the gym, but that's exactly where I hurt my back about a month ago. So now I've already lost all of my muscle from earlier this summer.
And maybe your hair later.
Yeah.
All right. Onward. Tone. So we have the Civil War's back. I hear that potentially BCash is going to fork. You want to read your tweet? Well, I'll read it for you. Bitcoin community is fully aware and fully expected this, ... It's just that no one really cares. Tone.
Yeah. Right after I sent that out, I regretted putting the word really cares. No one cares. The word really doesn't belong there. People were privately messaging me this for like weeks, talking about the Civil War between the Craig Wright people and the non-Craig Wright people. I just don't care. I mean, it's totally irrelevant. Let's see Rodolfo's and Jimmy's thoughts on this. Maybe I can get back in after.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, this was to be expected. And this is something that I predicted before even the Bitcoin Cash fork happened. It's that when you have a precedent where somebody can fork whatever, that's a precedent, right? Like you can keep forking and forking and forking again. Bitcoin Cash has had Bitcoin Classic, and I think that became Bitcoin something else, Bitcoin Core or something like that. And that was more of a joke. This one's a little more serious, it sounds like. There are actually people that are willing to, go through with it. And the fact that you have, Craig Wright behind it versus something else, well, that's going to actually matter. So, this was to be expected. There's some social momentum behind this. You're going to have hundreds of forks. You already have hundreds of Bitcoin hard forks. Bitcoin Cash is going to keep splitting. It'll be interesting to see services like yours.org, where they go and so on. They'll have to keep going through Civil War and Civil War again and Civil War again. Once you have a precedent where people, go do whatever they want, and they want control, then this is the sort of thing that happens.
Thanks, Jeremy. Rodolfo?
Yeah. I mean, it goes to say that why you don't use a shit coin for your system, so yours now is going to have to use a real coin, like probably Bitcoin. Maybe they'll finally use Lightning Network. This is one of those things I've been trying not to care. I really try not to pay attention, but I can't not look at it. It's like the crazies and the scammers went one way, and now they're sort of subdividing to sub shitcoin species, and it's just fun to see it burn it down.
Oh, wait, I wanna jump back in there real quick. So I didn't even consider the whole yours thing. I forgot that project existed. Yours, you guys are thinking about it too much. So at this point, because yours has already gone from Bitcoin to BCash to now having to force to choose another direction, what they're going to do is they're going to announce that they have decided to make their own blockchain and that they are going to ICO, and they are going to have their own shitcoin for their own application. That is the natural progression of people.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually uses that project.
And that's another.
They do. It's just all the Bitcoin Cash people, and that's actually a good way to make some tips if you're a Bitcoin casher.
But that's another reason for them
to use certain numbers.
I mean, you could look at certain posts. They make like $10. You could make like $10 on yours. So it's an important platform if you can make $10.
Right, but it's just like Steam It, right? I mean, they're gonna go the Steam It model. They're gonna want to cash out. I mean, what's his name? Ryan X Charles is probably tired of like working and not making money, and he's gonna want to cash out, and he's gonna create an ICO shitcoin. So
I mean, no doubt about that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of there are people that actually use it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's like, like 10 people using it, 100 people using it. It's still a
exactly. And I just want
to use MySpace.
Yeah, people do still use MySpace. I want to have one last point. What based on what? Yeah, they do actually. One last point based on what Jimmy said. It's not just a precedent of hard forking. Is that in BCash you have leaders that tell you what to do. You have Craig Wright, you have Roger Ver, you have Rick Falkling. Now you have Cobra on the other side. Like you have actual leaders and no developers, right? So it's so basically the masses are just gonna stick with whichever leader they feel will guide them into the right direction, and that's another reason why it's gonna keep forking.
The masses and leaders. All right,
it's impossible to ignore this topic.
Yeah, very true. All right, and a topic that everybody has been talking about. Let's move to the SEC. So
no, let's do Canada, Leah. Let's do Canada because Rodolfo may not be able to stay. He has to get back on the call.
Oh no! All right. Wait, hold on. Why is that the one that showed up? All right. Well, the Bank of Canada study finds that 58% of Canadians own Bitcoin for investment purposes. Pretty cool.
So
yeah.
This is a total misleading article title, which is fun. It's actually 58% of the holders of crypto.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say
investment purposes. Talk about a clickbait here.
Hey, Rodolfo, I was going to say this sounds ridiculous. There's no way 58% of any group of populations will barely know about Bitcoin. Forget holding the
it's I mean, when you look at this, just with like 30% of the population is below 20, 30% of the population is above 60. It's like it's just these numbers are impossible. But anyways, aside from that, it's actually is a big group. I don't know if the numbers are here. We do have a lot of, I think the last poll I saw, it was about second or third largest amount of Bitcoin per capita in the world. Like in Australia too, people do like to hodl, like Canadians are very into savings, the ones that are not outspending their credit cards. But, we still have the Canadian mint coins. These are the gold leaf gold coins, and a lot of Canadians have them. You can buy them at the post office. And I think crypto is sort of going the same way. People understand the importance of hodling.
Thanks, Rodolfo. Jimmy, what are your thoughts? And also, earlier in June, it notes, and it's true, that the Bank of Canada executive Chapman was saying that cryptos pose no risks actually to the fiat money system, only that they can be a threat to hyperinflation.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it's this low, 58%. If it's a percentage of the people that own Bitcoin, that means 42% aren't using it for an investment. If you're not using it for an investment, what the hell are you using it for? I mean, maybe you're
trading.
Yeah. I mean, you could. But in a sense, trading is a form of investment as well. If you're using it as a medium of exchange, like buying stuff on darknet markets or something like that, you wouldn't actually hold any. You would have already spent it or sent it over to your relatives abroad or something like that. So I'm kind of surprised. My gut feeling is that this study probably has a lot of structural flaws. They didn't phrase the questions very well. And if you guys know anything about surveys and things, where you put the question, how you phrase the question, all those things matter. So I don't put much stock in this study. Not really that much of a study, to be honest. So, but it's interesting. At least we have
So
some data.
So the Bank of Canada actually does quality studies, and they seem to be starting to understand Bitcoin. I mean, I'm not a big fan of centralized financial institutions, regardless, but they do have sort of like some intelligent people there. Some of the questions are actually on the article. So one of the questions is it are you holding as an investment? You know, there's a percentage. My friend owns Bitcoin. I'm interested in new technologies. You know, there's the reasons why people are holding it or owning it. But I have a feeling that the other 40%, like Jimmy said, they are just using as an investment before trading, not necessarily for holding. And that's sort of like where the misunderstanding on this main 58% figure comes from.
No, I have another explanation. It's possible that like this whole thing started with the very first question. Are you familiar with Bitcoin? Do you have an understanding of Bitcoin? So I think there is enough people that answered these questions that don't actually hold Bitcoin, but that are familiar with Bitcoin, like their friends have Bitcoin, their brother has Bitcoin. Right? So now you are putting you add 30% on top of the 58 that are holding it, 30% that were answering questions that don't actually hold it and probably have never held it, but they knew enough to answer the questions.
I'm actually gonna, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tweet the actual study, and then people can actually go and read it.
I found it when you guys were talking.
Hang on a second. There it is.
Correct. Can
you see my tweet, Leah?
Yeah, I think I have it up though already.
Oh, there you go. So so people can find the link. The study is actually pretty decent. Now, how people were sort of answering, as Jimmy said, polls are always complicated and not a great source of final data.
You actually are correct. This is so for sure. CoinDesk actually was incorrect in reporting it. This is
Cointelegraph. I think CoinDesk might have done a better job.
Okay, Cointelegraph. While you guys were speaking, I quickly read this, and that's correct. So it is 85% of those that are aware.
Right.
So
that's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought it would be. That's the only way it makes sense.
Yeah, but what I found interesting, and I've been finding interesting, like the Bank of Canada recently, is that they've been releasing a lot of studies around actual Bitcoin, not shit coins, and they seem to be getting a good grasp of what is used for and what is good for, and sort of supporting that and publicly talking about that. That's pretty neat.
Great. Jimmy, last thoughts? Otherwise, let's actually move to Google. All right.
Let's move on.
Let's do it. All right. So Google to offer DLT, so distributed ledger solutions in cloud platform marketplace. So very simply put, right, Google just announced that they've partnered with two blockchain firms, which is Digital Asset and Block Apps, and they're going to try to offer a new DLT solution on.
Sorry, Leah, we gotta say goodbye to Rodolfo. He has to get jumped in on a call.
All right.
Bye, Rodolfo.
Bye, Rodolfo.
Maybe tomorrow.
See, Rodolfo. It's on specifically Google's cloud platform. Jimmy, what do you think? And also, can you explain this a little bit?
I actually got an email from a recruiter about this very thing a while back. Would you be interested in working for Google in the, distributed ledger / blockchain group or something like that? There's enough businesses that have been swindled by hucksters that, there's some, all-in-one push-button solutions that look attractive to a lot of these companies. And Google is just filling demand, despite it not being really real, by creating this sort of platform. That's really more or less what it is. Enterprise sales, if you could do it right, can be ludicrously profitable. And they obviously want to get into that space. Now, most of it is BS, like most enterprise software and enterprise platforms and things like that. They don't add that much value, but the few that do, Salesforce is like one of them, CRM solutions, things like that. they make a lot of money. So, I think Google is trying to position themselves so that they're going to make some money off of this should it become something. They're hedging their bets. They've been doing this for a long time. I predict that in 2 years, this will quietly go away and no one will think much more of it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Tone, what were your thoughts? Is this anything new as well?
I forgot that digital asset holdings, I guess they're now called digital asset. And when I started reading the article, I'm like, what the hell is digital asset? I've never heard of this company. And then when I read that it's, CEO's Blythe Masters, I'm like, oh yeah, that's digital asset holdings. The ones that gave away Hyperledger to IBM. Well, like, I don't understand, like, what the hell, what the hell are they doing? So I just don't get it. Like, they're still working with Hyperledger, but they gave away that project. So is digital asset simply a consulting agency now? I've never heard of Block Apps. They are offering decentralized apps. Well, like, I don't understand why Google needs all this. I mean, they have an app store. If somebody wants to put an app, I mean, they can just put an app. It just seems like. And also, like, at the very end of the article, it talks about how the co-founder of Google has been mining Ethereum. And I'm assuming he's doing it for a profit, because I hope that he's smart enough to understand that Ethereum is, unsustainable technology, but maybe he doesn't, right? So in which case, this could end very badly for Google. Like, I really don't understand where they're going, but I guess, hey, when people like Jimmy aren't taking the job to explain to Google why this is all insane, they will end up with people that will tell them how they need to integrate Ethereum into Google and it will solve the world, when in fact it will probably drop the stock of Google by 50% when Ethereum goes belly up.
Yeah, sorry. So actually, Jimmy has to leave, unfortunately. So I'm going to throw up the mempool really quickly. And yeah, just a note. I mean, it's interesting. Sergey Brin is the president of Alphabet right now. Absolutely co-founder. And that was came out. So Jimmy, quickly. Yes, mempool is up. What's the weather report?
Well, it looks like a lot of transactions cleared overnight. There's a normal spike in the morning when a lot of transactions off of these exchanges get processed. It does look like somebody's put in a bunch of transactions in the 20 Satoshi per byte range. But if you want to get in something in the next 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that, 1 Satoshi per byte will probably get it, because these are all clearing. If you need next block, you're probably going to have to do 15 to 20, something like that. I expect those to clear as well. We were actually talking yesterday at the San Francisco BitDevs group, which I attended. Fantastic, by the way. That a lot of the code that they have for fee optimization and coin selection and things need some testing, but they're like, okay, we can really only test them when there are higher fees. So, do not despair if fees get higher over the next year or something. We're actually testing really cool things that get to, optimize things further. I did also hear that Zoppo in particular consolidated a giant amount of UTXOs over the past, month or so. This is why the UTXO set has gone down significantly. A lot of these companies are basically consolidating and preparing for the next pump or whatever when fees are going to go up. It's not going to stay at this level. You might want to do the same. If you have a lot of UTXOs that are already linked, then you might want to combine them and have a nice large UTXO so that you can spend it very easily. Although, there are privacy concerns. There's multiple vectors that you have to worry about when you're spending, and those things can get complicated. So, all things to consider. Just that, a lot of companies are doing much better. If you haven't heard of the Optech project, I don't know if we've covered it on this show, but John Newberry, John Pfeffer, Chain Code Labs, David Harding, a lot of people are taking this initiative to help companies consolidate UTXOs, utilize SegWit, use transaction batching, all of these things, and that's helping the mempool significantly. So Want to give them a shout out. They have a new newsletter if you want to go subscribe. OpTech is what it's called.
Thanks, Jimmy. Also, before you go, can you just say a couple announcements or travel schedule?
Yeah, so we will be doing the carnivore dinner tomorrow. I have an attendance of 47 in San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, I think I have like I sold out yesterday, and then I created some more spots because like Lalu wanted to come and stuff like that. And now I've increased the seating to 50, but 47 of them are taken. So if you really want to get in, you better ask me right now, or like try to get in as soon as possible. The other thing is I am doing my San Francisco seminar on Thursday and Friday. This will be very interesting. I did not expect some luminaries to want to take my class, but they are. So it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, and you know, San Francisco BitDevs New York. San Francisco BitDevs is a lot like BitDevs New York. Really great meetup. They had their first one yesterday. The same guy that runs BitDevs New York ran the one in San Francisco. I would highly encourage anyone that's remotely technical to go to that meetup if you can get in. It's kind of a closed meetup. You have to apply to get in and stuff like that. But fantastic meetup. Peter Woolley was there. Greg Maxwell was there. Lalu was there. Connor from Lightning Labs was there. And they talked a lot in detail about the pull requests that were coming through on Bitcoin. A lot of really exciting things. A lot of interesting considerations. I talked to Greg Maxwell for like an hour last night after, and I learned more in that hour than I've been trying, about like bulletproofs and, mirror curves and all this other stuff that I had no idea about. That guy is so sharp. I wish I could get him on an interview because like I could have stayed there for like another 4 hours. The guy just knows his stuff really, really well and has really thoughtful stuff. I wish we could get him on this show, but I think he's a little too much of an introvert to do it every day, but maybe someday.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye. Tone, we're left alone.
Last two standing here.
Oh, right. Man, let's do it. Good thing they're finance. All right, so the SEC delays decision on Direxion's Bitcoin ETF until September. So yeah, notably none of the ETF proposals being postponed are from VanEck and SolidX, which have been currently under discussion. I guess everybody's been talking about them. For the most part, I want to hear your thoughts, and also, so many stories, including Forbes, including Bloomberg, are saying that it is because of this news, which everybody likes to talk about news, that we spiked, and now we're at 8,100. I think we're sitting at right now. So what do you think about ETFs? And also maybe this is the time we finally have that conversation. Yeah,
this is interesting, right? So, okay. So first things first. Okay. So, Direction, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Direction, the company that filed for this, and I don't know if you want to pull up the actual, official statement of them filing. I know you sent it to me. I don't see it in one of your tabs. But or is that it? Nope.
No, hold on, I will.
That's part of it. That was part of it. But
it's kind of the overview.
Yeah. So Direction is a professional ETF company. Like that's their job. Their job is to make ETFs. So the SEC is going to take them and ProShares a lot more seriously than they're going to take the Winklevoss twins, SolidX, and all the other ones, right? Now, it looks like the SEC has only made 2 comments publicly available, probably because the others were written by children. I'm debating if I want to write the SEC a nice long comment about the ETF and my opinion of it, but and it'll be a very long comment. So I don't understand why Direction wants to make a 1.25 bull ETF and 1.5 bull ETF. Like that makes no sense to me. Make them 1, make them 2, make them 3x if you like. I mean, they have 3x right now on other financial products. The 1.25 and 1.5 make absolutely no sense to me. It just seems completely silly. As far as the decision by the SEC being delayed to September, I have to say this is very, very positive for them approving the ETF. It doesn't mean they're going to approve it. It just means the probability of them approving it drastically rise. Because if they weren't interested, they would never postpone this meeting, right? So by postponing the call, that means they're actually doing more thinking. And if they're doing more thinking, there is a higher probability that they're going to be more open to a Bitcoin ETF than not. I still believe that they are not going to approve the Bitcoin ETF in September, contrary to what Zero Hedge is telling you, okay? I stopped reading Zero Hedge about 5 or 6 years ago, even before I came into the crypto space, because it was starting to be completely ridiculous. So I would not pay attention to anything Zero Hedge has to say on the subject. Also, if you read the 2 comments from their insiders, it sounds like the 2 insiders have absolutely no insider knowledge on the situation of what's actually happening at the SEC. So please ignore that piece of news. Now, can they approve the ETF? Sure. Does it mean that the Zero Hedge knew what they were talking about? In my opinion, no, absolutely not. Now, do I think this SEC hype is what's driving the current bull market over the last 2 weeks? Yes, it's safe to say that it has a pretty big influence on it, along with the drop in altcoins in relation to Bitcoin, which we will talk about in our next article when we talk about ugly old goat. But now at this point, if the price of Bitcoin, well, now we have till September, right? So now things change. Between now and the end of September, their new decision date, it's the end of September, right? Like September 24th or something?
Yeah, July right now. Wait, are you when they're gonna do it?
Right.
Yeah, it's in September. I don't know if it's 24th. Today's the 24th.
No, but of July, not of September. Can you just go back to the CoinDesk article? I just want to see what the new date is. September 21st.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, that's kind of unfortunate because August 10th, I was going to be home, or at least, in America doing these videos. End of September, I'm going to be somewhere in Europe. I'm probably going to be traveling to the Honey Badger conference, where I'm going to spend all my time talking to people that are smarter than myself. So I will be too busy to deal with the fallout of the SEC discussion. So you guys will have to, make your own trading decisions, and not that you should rely on mine anyway. So I kind of hate the fact that they moved it to that date for personal reasons, because I'm going to be really, really busy during those days compared to when they were originally going to announce it. So what is there to expect? Well, now, because the date got moved by a month and a half, it's a lot harder, and the price speculation already taken place. So if the price was going to continue going up over the next week, I would say this is a perfect selling opportunity, because no matter what they say, it's going to be negative over the short term after the announcement, whether they approve it or not. If all the price speculation takes place before the known unknown, which is, when they're going to say it, you don't know what they're going to say. That's a known unknown. If the price speculation has taken place before that happens, then the only option is to, get out of your position if you had a position to begin with. For example, I am still holding my Bitcoin. Would I love for someone to call me right now and say, hey, Tone, can you meet me somewhere, preferably not in a dark alley at 3 o'clock in the morning, and can I buy some Bitcoin off of you? I'm going to say absolutely. Like, I am more than happy. Well, I'll first ask them if they're a federal agent, but you kind of get the idea, right? Like, I am more than happy to pay more of my fiat bills with Bitcoin above $8,000. I am more than happy to sell people Bitcoin right now. I don't trade Bitcoin, as you guys know, so I'm not going to take on speculative positions. But because I am a hodler of Bitcoin, over the next, anywhere between the current price level of 8,100 and 8,500, which is where the depth cross is going to take place when I do the charts, and you were in that area, I would love to sell, a few $100 worth of Bitcoin, because as you all know, I'm just a broke bum trying to pay rent. But right now, to me, if you are in a bullish position, even though we'll get to the charts in a minute, right? Like, this area makes me a little bit nervous. As far as the Bitcoin ETF itself, I'm probably going to write a really long public comment. I'm really not good at writing. I'd rather make a nice long video and send it to the SEC. I'm not going to recommend what they do. I have no opinion here, right? I don't know if if an SEC person, right? If an SEC person was on this channel and they said, Tone, should we or should we not have a Bitcoin ETF? My answer will be, I don't know. I don't know if the ETF is going to be good or if the ETF is going to be bad, but I could write a long letter explaining my case as to why the ETF is not good and why the ETF is good. I can argue both sides. If someone forced me to argue one side or another, I can put a pretty damn good argument as to why we should have a Bitcoin ETF and why we shouldn't. And the biggest factor as to why we should have a Bitcoin ETF is because the SEC screwed up 3 years ago and allowed GBTC to be a pink sheet. That is my number one reason for the SEC to approve an ETF, because right now you have a very, very bad product that functions as an ETF. And it's probably not going to be likely for any government agent of any organization to admit they've made a mistake and remove it. I mean, it took 19 freaking years to allow people to drink alcohol again after which amendment was it? 19th Amendment?
Tone, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think, if all, that this ETF would be different than what CBOE and also the Winklevi have proposed?
Well, it could be different. They could have, different formulas on how to get the price of the, how to manage the price of the ETF, because the price of the ETF has to be as stable as possible. And in Bitcoin, that is very difficult. Gary Gensler expressed this issue. By the way, I will do Senate hearings part 2, and I'm going to talk about this in that, my answers to the Agriculture Committee hearings on crypto. So there is one of the biggest problems with the ETF is price stability. And by stability, I don't mean volatility. We're all expecting the price of the ETF and the price of the futures right now of Bitcoin to be volatile, because Bitcoin is volatile. So don't confuse the volatility of the ETF with the stability of the ETF, right? By stability of the ETF, I mean that the price is accurate based on the actual price of Bitcoin. And because the price of Bitcoin is being traded in a somewhat wild, wild west space, and there could be issues there, and those markets aren't regulated, and, Kraken is being sued by, a member of this podcast show, David Silver, for, supposedly unethical practices on the exchange side. And we've seen accusations of Bitfinex and all these other exchanges, right? I mean, some exchanges were able to eat. Coinbase is being sued by multiple people for the way they run the exchange. I think the Winklevi twins have been the only ones that have been able to, avoid all controversy. And other exchanges are foreign exchanges where the U.S. government may have absolutely no jurisdiction. So the stability and, the ethics of the underlying price of the ETF price are definitely going to be a big question for the U.S. regulators to allow the ETF. And they want as much separation of power as they can. The problem with the Winklevi twins ETF is that, one, they want to control the underlying storage of Bitcoin. Two, they want to control the underlying price of the asset through their exchange, probably being a big proportion of that price stability of the ETF. And three, they're going to manage the formulas of the ETF. So this is where the problem for the SEC comes in. This is where they would prefer to trust something like ProShares or Direction, who are very experienced in creating these ETFs, and they have lots of experienced people with 10, 20, 30 years of experience in making sure that the ETF is functioning normally. They would then somehow outsource the storage of the Bitcoin. That's another big question, right? Is the ETF going to be simply paper traded, or is the ETF going to have Bitcoin underlying the ETF? That is a monster question that I don't know what is better. I cannot answer the question. I can argue both sides. I can argue why the Bitcoin ETF should have Bitcoin in reserve, just like the GLD ETF holds gold in reserve. And I can also argue why it shouldn't have that, and it should be more of a paper ETF like the S&P 500 ETF, like SPX, right? There's no actual well, actually, there could be shares of the companies being held in the S&P ETF, but should it be more like a paper thing, like the Bitcoin futures? I actually don't know if the S&P ETF is, if there's actually X amount of shares of each company being held by, I believe S&P 500 manages the S&P 500 ETF. So those are like the main differences between these companies. There's a lot. There's a lot here. Like, people think it's so simple. The SEC just has an announcement. There are like, if I had the time, like, I can literally write like a 20-page report arguing both sides in every single aspect of this. It's really up to them and their expertise, which I kind of look. I'm not a fan of the SEC as much as the next guy in some cases, but in this case, they should have the experts to decide one way or another. And this is a very hard decision. Very, very hard decision. Yeah.
So I believe that ArcWeb, right, was actually one of the first ETFs to invest in GBTC. And as much as you don't like GBTC, I like GBTC. So why not, well, like, why aren't there more investment vehicles that are doing proxy trades and by investing in GBTC? Or I mean, it's another way to gain exposure and kind of play the ETF game.
Well, it's also another way to, lose your clients, right? Like, if you are vocal about investing in crypto space and you have, 40, 50 employees, it's a lot easier for you and Tyler, because it is mostly you two, and Tyler does manage money for a lot of people, and he's very responsible. It becomes a lot different when you have a company that manages money for other people, and that company is, let's say, 40 people, right? Because now you're not only responsible for investments and returns to your clients, you're also responsible for the jobs of 40 to 50 people. And a lot of those CEOs and senior managers, they're kind of risk averse. Like, they don't want to take a risk of that company, and something goes wrong with either A, regulations, or B, like, they don't want to be responsible for losing the jobs of their employees if something goes wrong because they decided to be, a little more innovative with their investments. So I think that is probably the biggest reason, is that you really need somebody new, somebody hip, somebody that understands it, that is willing to take that risk, and they're on trading new assets. Because again, in the case of you and Tyler, it's you two, and you have a full grasp on cryptocurrencies. And if it's a shop with 50 people, now you need to have a lot more people that need to have a grasp on cryptocurrencies, and they need to be willing to take a risk that this may not work out. Like, they not work out as an investment, not work out for the respect of the company that causes them to lose employees, or causes the regulators to show up, causing employees to get nervous and maybe quit, causing upheaval. So I think it's very difficult for larger incumbent investing institutions to get into this space right now with GBTC as the only asset.
Last question. Do you think that potentially any of these ETFs may be structured similar to GBTC, which, as you very well know, is insanely nuanced, especially with the premiums, and very difficult to invest in? True.
I think that GBTC is as poorly structured as it possibly could have been. Like, I don't know how much worse you could have structured GBTC. And I don't even need to explain that. All I have to do is say, I've seen occasions where GBTC traded at 250% above the price of Bitcoin. That alone tells you that it is the dumbest way to structure an asset to be publicly traded by the retail investor, let's say, okay? So it couldn't be structured any more poorly. However, it's possible that because it was structured so poorly, it snuck under the nose of the SEC and the regulators that allowed it to trade in the first place, right? So I don't know what the hell happened there, right? So I really hope by now the regulators and the SEC realized how poorly GBTC was structured. So there's no, like, if they make the same mistake again and they allow the structure of these ETFs to be similar to the structure of the GBTC, I mean, I will just have to wow, it's like, I'm already blaming the SEC for being incompetent with the ICO mess, but this would be like incompetence after you already seen the disaster of the GBTC structure.
Yes, we can move on. And absolutely. I mean, again, it is insanely nuanced for everybody that's listening. And I think that you've seen the show with Tone and Tyler where they discussed a lot about GBTC. It was very interesting. And also, yeah, I bet that the ETF, GBTC's, like, my understanding is that they're going to keep their outstanding shares in the future, close, I think it's 1.7 million. I don't think it's going to change, and speculation is insane. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Well, hopefully we'll see something better. And on to Ugly Old Goat. How to achieve the same results of a professional trader.
Oh, no. That was an article from April because he pinned it.
Oh, good call.
Just scroll down. He actually published an article like an hour ago, which I did not even. Oh, no, you want to go back. You just want to go click on his name, go to his account.
It was pinned. I got the wrong one.
Yeah. Just click on the words. I will go. Perfect. Okay. So he did post another one. I have not read it yet. So let's move down. Nope, don't click on that. I have not read that one yet. That literally just came out like while we were on the air.
All right.
Right. It's the one under that one.
Blowing out the bottom with the frown.
Yes. That's the one we go. That's the one.
Let's do that one.
Okay.
All right.
So I found this article very, very obviously it's disappointing. I also found it very strange, and here's why. There's several lessons here. I don't retweet other people's work, guys. I think Ugly Old Goat and Jimmy Song are the only people whose articles I actually retweet. So about a month ago, maybe a little more than a month, but about a month ago, Ugly Old Goat started writing consistently articles trying to educate people on how to trade. And in his very first article, he decided to be public about a pretty substantial trade, large trade that he did. And he admitted that because he publicly shared that trade, it made him stick with a losing position longer than he otherwise would. And the fact that he went public with the trade influenced his trading and his profits. And this is like one of the biggest lessons that people just don't understand. The reason why I don't trade Bitcoin and I talk about trading Bitcoin is that specific reason. The moment you actually trade and publicly talk about your trades, it influences not only the trades that you're in, like mentally in your mind, it also influences you and makes you biased as to what you say publicly. And just people continue to not understand why that is. It's so simple to me, and this is why in the very early days when I did start, talking about the price of Bitcoin in my Cointelegraph articles in the early days of YouTube, before I even had my own YouTube channel, I was still trading crypto. I was doing a little bit of all trading, and then I was strictly trading crypto. And the more popularity I got, the less I wanted to trade as I talked about the trading Bitcoin for those two reasons. It would influence my trades, and it would make me a bad trader. And two, it would influence, it would make me biased as to what I say about the price of Bitcoin. And people continue to be upset why I talk about trading Bitcoin and don't do it. Ugly Old Goat's first article explains this very well. He lost a lot of money in that trade. And when he wrote that article, I even immediately said I would take the other side of that trade. I disagreed with that trade. And he knew I disagreed with that trade. He saw the markets differently, and he ended up losing more money. Now, after that, what Ugly Old Goat did was he decided to pull all of his money off the exchange because he was trading in pretty substantial quantities. And he only put in 7 Bitcoin to start, his new trading portfolio that I'm assuming he was trying to get to 100 Bitcoin. I'm assuming that was his goal. Now, nobody knew it was 7 Bitcoin until this article where he said it was 7 Bitcoin in the article he published yesterday. So, and his first several trades were so perfect, absolutely perfect. If you read his prior 6 or 7 articles, he was bullish Bitcoin and bearish altcoins. And I was reading those articles and I thought, wow, he's making amazing trades. He's making a lot of money. And the market has not really changed. And maybe I missed it, but in earlier articles, he didn't really say that he was going to go, heavy leverage short. He was, I believe he was pulling out of Bitcoin, but he was still short altcoins, and Bitcoin has gone up a lot more than altcoins lately. So I am not sure what trade he did that apparently blew up most of his portfolio. And he didn't make that very, very clear. But this is, again, another lesson that, I've had many private conversations with Ugly Old Goat, just like Tyler. He was, managing money and trading and working in the financial sector before I've been alive. He's proven, I've seen it, that he's turned little amounts of money into fortunes being a trader. And in the last month, while being absolutely right about the short-term moves of crypto, not only Bitcoin, but altcoins, well, I've been pretty much wrong like crazy over the last 2 weeks, he still managed to blow up his portfolio. And I don't understand how that happened. I might need to have a private conversation. I want to know what trade he made, because I guarantee you, if I was trading my portfolio with as wrong as I've been the last 2 weeks on the price of Bitcoin, I would not have blown up my portfolio. And he was absolutely right about where Bitcoin and altcoins are going. And he managed to blow it up with even more experience than me. This is trading, guys. It is so freaking difficult. And this is how someone like me that was wrong, but the way those of you that attended my workshops, you know how I set my stop losses. Even being as wrong as this, I would not have blown up my portfolio based on my risk averseness in my positions while being wrong. And he was right. Ugly Old Goat was right. I don't understand. I don't understand what happened there. But this is a huge lesson to you guys that you can be 100% right on the direction of a stock. And he wasn't even trading directionally. He was trading basis. Well, I don't understand what the hell happened. He talks about being too cocky. My bet is that sometime in the last 72 hours, he decided to go short. And before he announced, and he must have gone short Bitcoin because he felt that it gone up a bunch, and he wanted to go short Bitcoin because it's gone up a lot. And he did that trade and maybe didn't write the article telling us that he went short, and then something ended up going bad. And then he wrote the article admitting that something went bad, because I find him to be a pretty honest guy. Like I said, I know the guy personally. And so I don't know what happened there, right? But it goes to show you how someone could be so right and get 6 trades in a row correct, and then get cocky and make one mistake thinking that they know too much and put it on with leverage, and things go horribly wrong. I'm sure he's going to trade again. He'll open another small account somewhere between 5 and 10 Bitcoin, and he'll go again. I mean, when you've been trading for 40 years, and unless you're fully ready to give it up, I'm not ready to give up trading. So, eventually, there might be some family obligations in the future that will force me to walk away from, the public life, and I'll be at home, just trading. Maybe I'll still make public Twitter comments, but I'll completely turn off, all interaction. I'll just, maybe do it for fun, throw them out there, some ideas, or maybe I'll not even do that and I'll just trade. I mean, I certainly have friends that want to start a family office with me, managing our own money. Probably, I don't really want to trade other people's money. And that's the other thing, right? Like when Ugly Old Goat says other people's money, I should probably talk to him about that. He uses the term OPM, other people's money. I don't think him and I use that term the same. To me, other people's money means I literally take your money and trade it. It sounds like to him, other people's money means you're trading with your gains. So if I put my own 5 Bitcoin in and I've made 10 Bitcoin, I pull my 5 Bitcoin out. Now I'm trading the 5 Bitcoin that I've earned. I believe that's what he refers to as other people's money. I don't like that term. Maybe I'll talk to him to not use it that way, because to me, other people's money is something like Tyler and Lucid, where you guys are literally managing other people's money. Oh, muted.
All right, unmuted. The
Okay.
end of the piece, right, is to maintain humility and a money management perspective. And within the piece also, he discusses the importance of knowing your strengths, but especially knowing your weaknesses. So it's very interesting what you say, but and rather than but, taking his advice, it would be very interesting to see if he shorted and got wrecked. And in the end of the day, that has been the importance of the takeaways of his recent pieces, I believe, is just maintaining that money management perspective. But I would be very curious when he says he's taking other people's money. Absolutely correct. And speaking about money, 8,100 still?
Wait, what? Sorry, the last part was?
Where are we sitting with Bitcoin?
Oh, Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, one last thing on weaknesses. I've traded on and off for 15 years. I know my weaknesses, and they're pretty bad, which is why at the moment, I'm happy that I'm not doing too much trading. And the only way I'm able to resolve those weaknesses, even though I've made mistakes there as well, is just here are my two mistakes. One, I get too distracted. Like I can't focus on trading. This is why I do a million things at once. This is why I even have like 8 different podcasts on my own YouTube channel. This is like, I just can't. Like I can't. Maybe when I get older, I'll have more patience to just sit and trade, but I can't. I get too distracted. I end up, doing too much, and I work too much, like through a YouTube channel. Like I can't even focus on one show. We're having all these shows. So that's one of my problems. My other problem in trading is probably what got Ugly Old Goat caught. When I make too many good trades in a row, I tend to, get a little too cocky. Now, and the only way I was able to resolve this weakness is by going into the options market and do a little more directional neutral trading, and a little more focus on earnings season. Like I have X amount of stocks, I have X amount of time to do those trades, and then I get a 2-month cooling off period where I can't get cocky with 6 right trades in a row, and then I load up on another trade, and then I get crushed. Now, this has also happened to me with earnings, where I do I earn January, or like the quarter 1, I make 20%. Quarter 2, I make 15% on my money. Quarter 3, I make another 20% on my money. So now I'm up 50, 60% in a year with just trading those earning seasons. And now I've done so well 3 trading seasons in a row, I take on a little extra leverage, thinking I got so cocky with my 3 prior trading earnings season, and then shit doesn't go my way, and I end up losing like 40%. So I've still had these issues occasionally, even in my other trading, and I think with time that goes away. So those are weaknesses for a lot of people, and that it looks like that's what got Ugly Old Goat caught in this one. Let's see how he does in the next one. Like, hey, you start again. If you believe you can make money trading, if you like it, you start again. There's nothing wrong with that. All right.
Last question.
We're almost at 1,500 viewers, so I guess this is going well.
Wait, Tom, last question.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is, and I'm probably wrong, is that Ugly Old Goat is more of a position trader. However, for all the people that take your TA seminar and for all that you explain in that seminar, as I've been, guys, day trading and all different types of trading, how can they utilize what Ugly Old Goat is saying about keeping a money management perspective, despite what your trading style is? Or do you think that's only specific to kind of investors like Ty and I?
The word position trader has a very specific financial meaning. Once again, I think Ugly Old Goat is using the term other people's money differently than I use it. I don't know if he's using position trader the same way I would use it. Position trader is someone who takes on trades that are at least 3 months long, probably 6 months long, up to a year. And it doesn't feel like Ugly Old Goat is actually holding his positions for multiple months at a time. So I would not call him a position trader. I would call him more of a swing trader. A swing trader is someone that I was taking on positions for a couple of weeks up to maybe a month, or anywhere from a week to a month. Sometimes if things are, sometimes you can stretch that into a couple of months. Sometimes you can lower that to a couple of days if you happen to enter your swing trade perfectly or very badly, and now it's either down too much or up too much in the first couple of days, then your intended swing trade is exited, right? So I don't know if he's using the term a position trader the way I would. And it seems like what he was doing is also direction neutral trading. He would, let's say, go long the September expiration, and he would short the lower expirations, or he would go long Bitcoin and short Ethereum. These are more spread trades, which are a lot more hedged, usually with less probability of something going wrong, but things can still happen. So again, I'm not sure that his terminology is what I would use, which is why it's a little bit tricky.
All right, you got it. TA.
All right, let's do TA. Let's make sure we're in color.
I will let you know. Although it was really funny. Gray candle above a gray candle.
Right.
All right, let me see. Hold on.
Are we in color?
Hold on. You're on full screen for me. And it's slow. 1 second. Yes, no, you are not, sir.
I'm not in color again.
No, it's like pretty spotty.
So this is not in color.
Hold on. There's a lag,
Right.
No, hold on. That is in color.
That is in color. Is this in color?
Trading view isn't. All right, hold on. We still have lags. Nope. No, actually, your tone vase actually switched out of color, and everything is gray. Some spots.
What the hell is going on? All right, hold on. This is weird because I don't know. Sorry, I turned down my own YouTube. Yeah, this is also okay. Let's try this one more time. Screen share, desktop this time.
I do like the comments. Lag, hold on.
Right, no, I'm watching it as well.
Color.
Okay, I think we're in color now.
Let's try.
All right, let's take a look. This is like totally crazy.
Your color.
Finally. Okay, so just in case I end up with the same problem, I decided to, on like the daily chart, I decided to go hollow candles. This way, the red candles will be, these are the bearish candles are red, and the hollow candles instead of green are the bullish candles. This way, if we ever do go black and white again and I miss it, at least this way you can separate which are the green candles and which are the red candles, because the green candles are going to be hollow. So, but also, of course, all the numbers are going to be gray. Yeah, I had a really good talk about the price of Bitcoin in the last video. Really unfortunate that it wasn't in color. So, all right. Boston, man. So I had a tough decision to make last night. Basically, there are going to be more people in Boston. It's just like my page isn't like refreshing for some reason. But maybe a 5 will work. No, I have to just restart it. But so I'm going to do a meetup in Boston on Friday night, August 3rd. My other choice was to meet Saifedean here in New York for a carnivore dinner, which I believe is all sold out anyway, but I had a seat. So unfortunately, I will not get to meet Saifedean. Hopefully I'll get to meet him someday. But anyway, so I will come to Boston. I will live stream a meetup in Boston on August 5th. After a lot of thinking, I decided to, people want to come see me as well. And I will get to meet Saifedean eventually. Las Vegas and Chicago will be my only other North American stops this year. After that, I'm in Europe, Asia, and Australia. Please check out the Learn Trading section if you want to be a better trader. And check out the affiliate links. I'm actually going to be adding new affiliate links. I forgot to show my hat. I have new HODL hats. I have a second HODL hat maker. And I'm going to be adding an affiliate code for the other HODL hats soon. I think these are really awesome. I will show them to you on, they're not out for sale yet, but they will be any day now. So they're really, really cool. Thank you, HODL Caps Canada. So, okay, price. Sorry, guys, I'm going off on tangents. The monthly is, we still have a week to go. Let's not worry about the monthly for now. Here's the daily. The daily took a really big bounce to the upside yesterday. And we are now very, very close to the death cross. As we said earlier today on your Hyperwave channel with Tyler, where thank you for bringing me on as a guest, like at every point, at every $300 to $400 upswing, you are going to run into significant resistance. And I have no idea if this resistance is going to crush the price of Bitcoin back to the downside. Now, right now, I have one and only one reason to be bullish on the price of Bitcoin. Maybe 1.5. And that reason is the weekly chart. And we're talking specifically about the weekly chart. The weekly chart gave me a sequential 9 and then a price flip and then a green 2 above a green 1, which for the traders of the sequential system is as bullish as things get. That is my one and only reason to be bullish the price of Bitcoin. From a technical perspective, we're not talking fundamentals right now. We are strictly talking technicals. The half comes here in the RSI. So the RSI, while breaking down from this level, is now approaching that level once again. And the RSI is almost at its prior peak. Now, I will also say that, So if the RSI makes a higher peak, ideally higher than this orange line, but even if the RSI goes higher than this peak, that could be a minor indication that we're not going to get to oversold, which I still think we probably should and probably will. However, the current RSI reading is meaningless because it only matters where the week is going to close because this is a weekly RSI, and intra-week moves don't matter when it comes to the oscillators. So we will get back to this at the end of the week when we have a close, okay? Now, the MACD is exactly the same. The MACD is coming very close to a MACD crossover. If I go back to the 2014 bear market, the MACD did cross over, and even in the positive territory, right now we're in a negative territory. So it doesn't necessarily, so the MACD isn't necessarily screaming that we're ready to go back to all-time highs because the MACD did cross over. So let me remove that from being the half. So I really only have one reason to be bullish because the RSI is not yet complete. So maybe 1.25. I'll be like the direction ETF dealing with 1.25, which I think is kind of ridiculous. As far as the negative side is concerned, we are below the setup trend. That's the dotted line. We are coming up on a def cross. We are still below the prior high, and we have not established a new higher low. We also have a medium-term moving average, the 30-week moving average, trending down. Okay, so there is a lot more negative here for the long-term price of Bitcoin than positive from a technical perspective. So I will continue to be skeptical of the move because the sequential alone is not enough for me to have conviction that we are ready to go to new all-time highs. Next, let's not talk about this. We talked about it this morning. The daily chart. The daily chart has broken above the $7,800 resistance. Now, the day is not yet over. Also, pay very close attention to this 9 right here on the sequential system. Again, I love the sequential system. It is one of my favorite things to trade ever for the last 10 years. Now, the sequential system gave you a bullish indication right here on July 17th, when the price of Bitcoin with a green 2 on top of it started trading above a green 1. I was very hesitant at the time because I felt that this was resistance and that was resistance, and the trade just wasn't worth it. If this happened from a different environment, maybe from a lower environment of around 5,000 or even 5,200, I would have been a lot more short-term bullish, and I would have been able to time it a hell of a lot better. Okay. However, I have been skeptical all throughout this move. It doesn't mean that there isn't money to be made on a bullish trade. It just means I would not have made this bullish trade on this time frame or the weekly time frame. Now we are coming up on a declining 200-day moving average. And in addition, let's give this another 6 hours, because if the price of Bitcoin pulls back into the $7,900 area, this is not only going to be a 9, this is going to be a 9 with a shooting star reversal candle, in which case I would be comfortable by saying that the short-term picture has become bearish with a scenario that gives me a profitable idea for a trade to the downside with the proper risk-reward outlook, okay? But right now, I can't make a judgment. I have to wait for this candle to close. If this candle closes near the top of this candle, then this is more likely for this 9 to be a continuation 9, leading you to the countdown phase and more upside. If this candle ends as a shooting star candle, if the price of Bitcoin pulls back below 8,000, probably to 79.50 or lower, I will then be a lot more bearish going into tomorrow than I would be if this candle closed, as a non-reversal candle. So there is a lot happening here. Even if this doesn't close as a reversal candle, if you have been long in a long trade with the price of Bitcoin, which, like I admit, I would not have been, this is probably a good time to take some of your profit. Maybe not all your profit, but at least some or the majority of your profit. You can always go back into the trade tomorrow or the day after when you have a green 2 above a green 1, or you get, you're not going to get rejected by the 200-day moving average, sending you back towards 5,000. So either way, if you were long this whole move, this is probably a decent time to take some profit. But until you see weakness, you don't really have to. I like to wait for a reversal candle. I would just continue to increase my stop loss and make it more, like lock in that gain with a stop loss. Here is the bullish pennant on a 12-hour chart that I drew yesterday in black and white. And I said, hey, I should have probably moved this arrow over because the breakout got delayed. And I specifically talked about how, hey, if you went bullish too early and then you got stopped out for a loss, and then you went bearish because you felt that it was going to crash because of a red 2 below a red 1, and you got stopped out for a loss, you have to stick with your trading understanding, and now you're this bullish trade, third time's a charm, and it would have made up for both of those small losses, assuming these two losses were not leveraged to the point of blowing up your entire portfolio, which can happen to the most professional traders of 40 years, as you saw from the earlier discussion of Ugly Old Goat's article. Now, the 12-hour chart gave us a much cleaner bullish entry than the daily chart because the 9 came in at a much better area. Did I expect even the 12-hour chart to go higher? I clearly did not. You can see that by the arrows that I had drawn at the time. I had expected this to continue going down. When that didn't happen, there were bullish entries. I probably would have missed the first one, but I have been talking about the second one here for a number of days now, if not 3 or 4 days, that Bitcoin can certainly go higher into the depth cross of 8,400. So my short-term view is at the moment, other than this daily 9, but by the shape of the candle is not yet a cause for concern. So I am still short-term quasi-bullish into the depth cross on a weekly chart, which will probably happen in the $8,600 vicinity if we continue to go higher. You know, had we continued to go lower, then the 30-week moving average would have been dropping faster, and we would have crossed earlier in the $8,300 or $8,400 vicinity. But because we have started to go up quickly, we may not cross until $8,600 now. So if we continue to go up, it's possible that we can go all the way into 86 into the cross. Like, I don't know where the cross is going to be. So those of you that are blindly picking the numbers that I say, can adjust an hour after I do the video because the current number of price has changed. So everything else going forward changes. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Now, the shorter term charts, the 4-hour charts, they created a lot cleaner entries. Like, here's a beautiful one. Again, you may have to adjust this triangle, right? Not exactly hindsight, but you adjust to best fit. This is a beautiful situation right here where you have a green 2 trading above a green 1, along with a chart pattern breakout and the break of the swing high and the break of this blue line, which is the risk line based on the sequential system. So this is like a trifecta or quadfecta of bullishness based on a 4-hour time frame. Yes, it is trumped on a higher level time frames of caution, but the 4-hour time frame in this case was certainly bullish, breaking out of this consolidation and then breaking out of this pennant. Okay, now this pattern is getting ready to come to an end. First of all, it has gone up even higher than the chart pattern would project. You can take a look at this distance here from 75.50 down to 72.50. That is $300. And then you can look at this chart pattern. Even if you take this from 78.50 down to say that's another 300. So a $300 upswing. We've now gone beyond that, significantly beyond that. And you are on a 5 of 9. So it's possible for a little more upside and top you out on a 9 with a 4-hour chart. That will, could be interesting with the daily chart, because if you are going to get a 9 on a 4-hour chart, you certainly will not get a reversal candle on a daily chart. Okay, so you have to keep all of that in mind. And we are bullish. And right now you can see the 4-hour chart is giving you a brand new high close. So if we close at this level of 82.55, that is bullish for the market. This is a reversal candle. It's not a perfect reversal candle. It's not a great reversal candle. And this reversal candle does not even indicate a reversal until you start trading below the bottom of that candle, which you never did. So right now, the 4-hour chart remains bullish for at least 3 to 4 more periods, 3 to 4 more 4-hour candles. I'm trying to talk fast, and I'm losing my breath here. I also haven't eaten or drank anything all day. We've basically been doing live streams since 9 a.m. I have not moved from this chair. And once again, to the mostly ignorant people that say, how come I don't trade, is because from the moment I got out of bed and sat in this chair at about 8:45, I have not moved. Haven't moved. It was either on the hyperwave channel or setting up the morning brief, talking to people about the stories for the morning brief. Anyway, let me start complaining. Okay, it's just frustrating that people that don't understand tend to have a high judgment on people that do understand, that know what they're doing. So
you're gonna become Jabba the Hutt.
I am going to become Jabba the Hutt. I do have actual positions on in the market, so I do need to end this so that I know what the hell is going on with my actual positions in the stock market, because I can't have that open here for the possibility of doxing myself, not only with my actual trading account, but with what stocks I trade and how I trade them, which would be very bad, very, very bad. Anyway, the 1 hour chart is, consolidating, wait for maybe a green 2 above a green 1 next hour, above 82.75, and that would give you some bullish signs. That's about it. The S&P 500 remains very bullish. I remain a raging bull of the stock market. This is the weekly chart. This is the daily chart. The daily chart is not doing as well, which is not cool. I still think this will turn around. I remain pretty bullish. This will still, even if we close at current levels with the reversal shooting star candle, I still think this is the highest daily close we've had in 2 months, 3 months. And I don't see a cause for concern. The price is up above all the moving averages. The moving averages are all trending higher. And I think it'll be fine. But this is a huge week for earnings season, which is why I'm trading. Gold continues to be a basket case. Let's see how bad it gets. Amazon. Amazon is a very interesting situation right now. Those of you that saw my tweet about Amazon. So Amazon's 1 to 4 daily correction might have ended with this hammer candle. We are now trading above the hammer candle. And I would never recommend anyone to trade Amazon right now, because guess what happens in a couple of days? Thursday night, they will report earnings. So you don't want to, unless you have an insider information on whether they will not only beat or not beat earnings, but how, what the wording is going to be, so you can analyze that wording. I do not recommend trading Amazon unless you know what you're doing. And it's not having a very good day. It started off having a great day. It is now not having a great day. And maybe it's still in its correction phase. Tomorrow and going into earnings will decide a lot, but I don't put too much emphasis on the sequential system leading into earnings, because on earnings, it can gap and it can completely break it. But going into earnings, this was a beautiful exit, and people did exit based on these systems. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to get myself in trouble here. All right, that's about it for me. We still have 1,500 viewers, which is great. If you guys like my work and would like to support my work, and you are interested in any of these products and save money in the process, I will be adding 4 more affiliate codes in the next week or 2. Please check out, TradingView or TorGuard or BitMax if you do decide to trade hardware wallets. And there will be a new watch. It's not public yet. Don't buy. It's not on their website. Maybe I'm giving away too much, but sometime this year there'll be a Series 3. I can't wait to get mine. So check that out. All right, guys. Enough screen share. Did I miss anything? What did I miss?
An awesome GIF underneath our tweet about the show, that the only thing that would make today better is ice cream. I'm just going to say that is my weakness. We were talking about weaknesses. And I will fully admit that almost the majority of my Forbes pieces at this point are on women-owned ice cream shops, because I get free ice cream for it, and it's delicious. Okay, so with that said, I don't think we missed much. I think that we can end the fact that we've done over 3 hours of shows already this morning.
Yeah, and I need to, at least get some water and maybe something to eat. This is rough. I shouldn't do that.
Everybody have a great day. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye, guys. Good luck trading. And to channel Jimmy's song, this song is done. Oh, audio podcast. Check that out too.
Oh, everybody should listen to this later on the audio podcast.
Bye, guys.